I don't know, like 8 or 9.
So, but anyway, session 9,
8.
8. I didn't just see your fingers there.
Yes, 8.
But anyway, we want to thank everybody for your time for joining tonight.
Yeah.
I know it's a sacrifice to give up a Tuesday evening, especially after we just had Memorial Day weekend. So, everybody's still in vacation mode. I know I feel like I'm still like not back to work right now. I feel like it's still the weekend, which is a good thing. And I'm hoping that one day, every day will feel like a weekend for all of us. If we do the right things and we take the right steps, we could actually have that experience every day. I've one time I was, just a quick story, I was at a gas station one afternoon. I was getting gas, and like a lot of people, you get gas, you go inside, you're on your break from work. I was on a break from work, so I went inside, and then I come out, and then and I just got thinking, like, I'm seeing people that would come and go, and they've only got like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get back to work, to get back in their car, to drive to their work, to make sure they get everything done. And I thought, how nice would it be if I didn't have to get back in my car and go back to work, because of the fear that, oh, I might lose my job, or my boss might get upset with me, or all these different things that goes through all of our heads, that we all kind of wish that we could just get up and have our day to ourselves. And that's what, like, weekends and holidays are. They're like these, we like marathon sprint to these days where we want to experience like that freedom to do whatever we want on that day. It's like we call it a relax. I gotta relax. But we're really saying is, I didn't have to be told where I'm going to work, what I'm going to have to do, what time I got to show up. That's really what it is. That's why I think for us, we enjoy it so much. So, but wouldn't it be amazing if every day was like that for us? Every day was a Saturday, because of the positions that we put ourselves in. Because there's lots of people in the world that have, careers and jobs and businesses that they own. That's exactly how it is. Every day is like a Saturday to them. They get up, they do this things they love to do. They produce income from it, but they're loving it at the same time. And then when they're ready to turn it off, they turn it off and they go spend time with their family. They go out and do the things they want to do. And they're not, constrained to just a 9 to 5 position somewhere. So that's one of the things, what we want to encourage everybody, even this evening, is that we're not, it's not about earning the income so much, and it's not about how much you make, which everybody thinks this is like, well, if I only made more money, I would be able to do this. And if I had a job that paid 3 times as much, or if I had a spouse that made this much and I had that much, if I was single and had a spouse, that I would be able to do it. But it's really not about the money, because here's the reality. You could always make money. Money's easy to make. It just depends on, our level of sacrifice, what we want to do to make it. Most of the time, making money, we say it's hard to make, but it's a lot of times because we don't want to sacrifice giving up this job to go to another job, or we don't want to work 2 jobs because we have things that we want to do. But it's about the mindset behind why we're doing what we're doing.
Yes.
And we want to encourage everybody tonight that to start thinking about this beyond just income, beyond making money, beyond just budgeting, but think about the mindset it takes to get you to where you want to go. And you're not going to have the vision and the passion for it unless you know exactly where you want to go. So that's, I mean, what do you say about that?
Yeah, I concur, because so when Chad is talking about the weekend, you have an opportunity to choose what you want to do, right? And yes, we're going to have emergencies that we were not thinking was going to happen. Maybe things might happen that we were not expecting, but we get to choose what we do on Saturday, what we do on Sunday. And that freedom gives us joy. And it's like thinking about why why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I working at this place? Is there a purpose behind it, or is it only to make money so I can pay my bills? Am I working this job because my parents told me I had to do it? Because it's a job that gives me a lot of money? It's important for us to ask ourselves why. Why are we as a couple or as a family,
No
as
water.
an
Hey,
individual
where's
doing
my
what
cake with
we're doing? Because then when you know the why and you go out on your day, you will be happy and you will give that happiness to other people, you know. And I could think about the different jobs that I had before. And for example, I was able to volunteer. I wasn't getting paid to do this as an event coordinator. And everyone was looking at me and they were asking me like, wow, you're like so happy. You're really enjoying doing this, right? And I was, even though it was hours and hours of work, guess what? Because I was passionate about it, because I loved it, people could see that. And even though it was like 12 hours that I was volunteering, it didn't feel like 12 hours. It was fun. It was very active. It gave me an opportunity to do something that I really was enjoying. So I think, you know, thinking about why are we doing this? And like Chad was saying, we want to encourage you. You know, it's important to keep your focus. Everyone on this call, everyone that is watching us, when you are determined to create additional funding streams, when you are being intentional, when you make a decision to come out of whatever you're doing every single day, it's not going to be easy, because it's like when we work out, right?
Yeah.
When we work out, it's not easy to work out at the beginning because we've been used to not doing anything, just sitting, maybe sitting down at a job. But when we start working out, it hurts, right? So it's the same thing. When you start getting focused, when you start thinking about creating different funding streams, about doing something that you know why you're doing it, that makes you happy, guess what? It's not going to be easy always, right? But keeping your focus on the why would be radically important. I don't know if that would be a word, but I would say it is so important to keep your focus and your momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that why, if you still don't know the why you're doing it, I will ask you to take a post-it note, write it down. Why are we doing what we're doing? And we know, because we've experienced this, that funding and resources will follow your why. It will follow that why.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you multiple examples, right? At one time, I wanted to be able to go to another nation and support with clothing and different supplies for families. And guess what happened? That was my why. And when I decided to go to this nation, it was Honduras at that time, different doors started opening for me. I was in college, right? So I remember, Chad, that I was actually able to start working as a tutor at the university and get paid. And then additional to that, there were people like, hey, if you could do this work for me, I can pay you on the side. And then, of course, I was also wise on managing my money, right? I was able to go to Honduras. So even I was tutoring, I was so exciting that I was tutoring. One, because I was teaching people, different college students, but also because I was gonna be able to use those funds towards to getting to Honduras. So keep your focus. We know that things happen left and right, but it's like, I don't know what this word is in English, gringolas, when you have a horse and the horse have like
Blinders.
the blinders on the side. Sometimes we need those blinders as entrepreneurs, okay? Because again, you're keeping your focus, you start setting money apart to getting even 1 coin of silver or 1 coin of gold. It could be just setting a fund aside for that business. And then suddenly the tire goes flat or the car doesn't start. And then guess what? We start feeling like, oh no. But because we want to work our muscle, we have to go back and keep our focus and the momentum. It's okay. That happened to me, but I'm not going to stay on that moment. I'm not going to stay on, man, this always happens to me. Because, you know, something that happens is that we are in a culture, right? In different cultures. And sometimes we learn, many times we learn very good things, but there's also some not good things that we've learned, right? And some of those things could be that when something negative happens in our lives, we just ponder on that moment. But what we want to say is, you know what? Let's go back to the why. Come back to your focus, put your blinders left and right, and keep doing what you've been doing for the last couple of months. Don't allow yourself to ponder, to stay on that wheel, going over and over and over on the same wheel, because there's a lot of opportunities for you out there. Chad, could you help share a little bit about, for example, our conversation with a person that we had, right? And the person has been working on a job, and you said, why are you working there? Can you share with everyone a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, and this is leading into the why. So we were speaking with somebody, and they're working a job that's like below really national wages. It's way below. Like, and they're highly intelligent, degrees, very smart, lots of wisdom and knowledge, but they're working a job like, you know, just a service industry job that's not that they're bad, but it's like way below where they could be working. And we had this conversation because they have a passion to go overseas and do some ministry work overseas. So I asked them, I'm like, so why are you working this job? Like, what is it that's drawing you to this place? And it kind of stunned them when I asked them that. The look in their eyes, that kind of like that deer in the headlight, like I never really thought about it, you know. And as we begin to talk about it, we started to brainstorm like, okay, so do you have to work this job? Could you get a different place? Could you do something as a freelancer that would produce the same amount of money easily? Would be able to, this is probably one of the lowest paying jobs that's out there right now. Like if in the area that it's at. So, and it triggered something, but it goes back to that, like, why why do you do it? And we come to somewhat of a conclusion that sometimes we stay places because we're really just comfortable.
Yeah.
And it takes change, like Deanna was saying. It takes change, and change is not always comfortable. It's really, you know, just like, you know, changing your clothes. After a while, you change your shirt 3 times and you're getting tired of it because it's, you know, takes time and it's not comfortable all the time.
Yeah.
So, but it's necessary. So as we continued talking, we came up with some ideas that they would be able to do that would actually produce more income, that would allow them to work from home, so they wouldn't be going somewhere from like 8 in the morning till 5 every day, and you know, and be able to travel around the world and continue to do the same job that would provide income. So this person was going to like work enough money to save up and travel, then have to raise more money down the road. But this would give them the ability to do everything and continue and grow, so they would have money to invest and do different things. Go ahead.
Yes, and then you, the person left like with the mind like blown up. right? This person was like, I can really do something different, something that I will enjoy. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Sometimes people might think, well, I'm kind of like late on my career to make a change. Well, we're one of those that believe that you can make a change anytime, It's okay to start over as long as you understand the why and it brings you joy. We also want, to let you know perseverance, to persevere is super important. We mentioned before, things and distractions are going to come left and right, but it's so important to persevere on that why. If you decided, hey, I really think we need to open this type of business, and with those resources, and it's something that we love doing, with those resources, we're going to be able to help a shelter in our hometown, right? Let's say that's an example. Or maybe with those resources, we'll be able to help the elderly in our community. Persevere on that idea, on that vision. Sometimes, and I know everyone on that is watching us right now, this happens to you. You suddenly have to wake up early, you have children, maybe you have to go earlier for your job. Suddenly your entire day was gone and you were not able to do anything to get you closer to that business or anything to get you closer to that goal. So it's very important to persevere and go back. Allow yourself to have some time. Schedule some time on your cell phone. Set up an alarm. Hey, and we do this. Like I have an alarm, for example, to look for houses. Even though we might not buy anyone right now, but I have it set up so then I can do the exercise and go and look at some properties. Set some time up with your family or yourself, with your spouse, and take that time. He made me laugh because I would schedule time and I would send him an invite with alerts. He'll be like, what is all of this coming into my phone?
I had a blocker.
I'm like, I'm scheduling our calls. You know how I call them? Executive meetings. They're on Friday, right after dinner, and Fridays for our family used to be like pizza Friday and popcorn night, right? We will relax with our family. So it'll be okay. That's the time we're going to take about half an hour every Friday to do our executive meeting with an alarm that will remind both of us, hey, executive meeting is about to come. But you know what? It actually allowed us to create those opportunities in time, in our time, to have intentional conversations.
So one thing I want to think about, every single person on this call right now is an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Now in your mind and your heart, you might not feel like you're an entrepreneur yet because you don't have a business, or you don't have a successful business, or you haven't earned income with the ideas in your mind. That doesn't disqualify you from being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is that you have this passion inside you to develop something beyond, just going to a job. You got creative ideas, you got things that you don't even know about yet. And you have to start really thinking, I am an entrepreneur. Even if you haven't sold the first dollar's worth of thing that you're going to create. Because what Deanna was saying is that if you continue at something long enough, even water will break right through rock and stone. That's how the Grand Canyon was formed. It was water and a river went through there. So at first you don't see anything, and you don't see anything, and you don't see anything, and all of a sudden something breaks, a little pebble, and then another pebble and another pebble. And this is exactly how it happens when you're starting a business, when you're starting investments, when you're doing anything. But you have to stay focused, and you have to just every day, even if you have to write, something on your mirror or something like, I am an entrepreneur. I am a business creator. Like, I am a businesswoman. I'm a businessman. That's what you are. Even if you don't feel like it some days and you feel like you're not, you are a businesswoman or a businessman. And that's why you're here, because you want to learn. We all want to learn more.
Yes.
So when you start to do that mind shift, you'll start thinking about everything differently. Like everything that you start to go out to do during the day, like what Deanna was saying, when you get up in the morning and when you go to get your coffee or whatever, you start making decisions based on what your passions are and based on that dream you have for a job. That's where you start changing. And when you do that, that's when you start focusing a little bit more on that business idea and a little bit less on the life that you're living right now that you don't really like. So another thing I want to encourage you to do, and this will help you, is find a book, find a podcast, find something that's related to the business that you want to be in.
Yes.
And just find one of those medias. If it's a video, a YouTube channel, if it's a book, that's what you like to do is read. If you're an Audible listener, listen, find a podcast or a book on Audible, whatever. Book on, voice book. Can't think of the name of it.
Audible.
Yeah. But anyway,
he loves those. He loves.
Yeah, I'm an Audible person. I can listen to podcasts 24 hours a day and I'm totally happy. That's just how I learn. So, but if you do that, it will keep you inspired, because you need to be inspired and you need to get around other people that want to do the things you want to do, because they will inspire you. But until you find those people, find the podcast, find the videos, get the books and read them. And I promise you, because this is what happens with us. I'll come home and tell her every day. She thinks I'm crazy. I'll be like, hey, on the podcast, I heard da, 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 da. Like every day it's something new. And I know she's like, oh yeah, here's something else.
Actually, no, I love it, because I'm not listening to where he is. And then he tells me.
But it inspires me to dig deeper.
Yeah.
And what's happened with us is that our businesses are growing, our investment portfolio is growing, and it's not like we did anything special. We're not doing anything different than any of you guys. We just when the bad times come and when opposition comes and things break and it don't go the way that we think, and then we don't have enough money to do this, we just think tomorrow we will. And then we just go through, we deal with what's in front of us today. And tomorrow we're like, okay, we can't do it today, but tomorrow we'll do it. Yeah. And it's starting to snowball. And that's why we're so excited about this for you guys, because what you're going to do is going to snowball if you don't give up.
Yes. Which brings me to the word consistency. It's like to be consistent. That's what we're saying about setting up an alarm or doing something together or by yourself, because it's important to be consistent, not to give up, just to continue. So for example, let's say, going back to what I mentioned before, you had a couple of dollars saved. Now there's an emergency and you have to use those funds. It's okay. It's happened to other people. It will be okay. It's more about how we react to the situation, right? And what's our aptitude. What is our aptitude when something like that touches our lives? But you go back, it could be consistent. Chad explained about, the water coming through the rock. That's you. That is you. It's not about writing a whole bunch in one night. Maybe that will happen to you. Maybe you are one of those people that suddenly it's like you had the entire review and you start writing nonstop. But maybe that's not you. Maybe it's a little bit and you get a glimpse here and another glimpse there. So keep being be consistent on whatever you're doing. Again, it's like a workout. Chad was mentioning about podcasts, right? So he's very consistent on listening to specific people that he's fine-tuned. Actually, we've shared those podcasts with all of you, right? Because we believe that they're good resource. and then he hears it, he listens to it, then he shares with me. We have a conversation about it. I ask him questions, or he might ask me questions about what we think, and then we retain some of it for the future. Maybe there's ideas that we might not be able to use right now, but in the future we might be able to use them.
So one thing I want to say, like, just like what she just said, I'll listen to a podcast, she'll read something, and then we share it with somebody else.
Yes.
And, you know, that's when you really learn, is when you start sharing it. So as you guys start to listen to different podcasts, read books, start sharing it with your family, share it with coworkers, just start sharing it with people, because it'll trigger something in you. When you start sharing that, it'll start stirring something. And it'll help it'll accelerate your business.
I love that
It will do it. It's going to do it, because you're going to get some more information. Then I'm going to tell you what, the first time you share something with somebody and they come back to you a couple of days later and like, oh my gosh, that was so great that you did. What else can you tell me? A light bulb's going to go off in your head, and it's going to be like electricity comes through you, because you're starting to walk in what you were called to do and what you're passionate about. So, yeah. So what I want to say now is, if before we go like to the next section, we're going to get into some of the economy and some investing stuff here next, but I want to open up if you guys have any questions, because we really want to encourage you to ask us questions. Bounce ideas off of us all here of things you're thinking to start. You know, that's what we're here for. So I'll give a couple minutes. If anybody has any, you could open your mic or raise your hand or type in the chat. Just not everybody at once.
And if you don't do it right now, we welcome those questions at the end as well. Because we've been there, right? This is like we were talking about, these are like different chapters. There's all those things, persistency, consistency, being focused, those are things that we always need to do. Even when we start, or 3 years down the road when we're larger, or I believe that even when the largest companies, they still do this, right? Because what happens is that you are building up like your capacity to manage those changes. So now what used to take you a long time to do, now you do it in less time. So you're building the capacity to do even more. So if there's any question, feel free to unmute, raise your hand, and if not, then at the end, okay?
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we give you time to answer any question that you might have.
Okay, so we'll move into the next section. And I wanted to talk a little bit about like the economy and then what's happening right now, because you guys are all watching the news and you guys all see the things about interest rates and a possible depression coming and recession and all this crazy stuff that's going on right now. Banks are failing, and should I put my money in this bank? Should I take my money out? Should I put it in my mattress? You know, these are all like valid things that people are trying to figure out, and they don't really know what's going on. So right now, you know, even though all this stuff is happening, there's opportunities for you guys to create businesses. There's opportunities for you guys to invest. And actually, some of the best opportunities for most people are in bad times and down times. Those are when some of the greatest ideas are born. Some of the greatest businesses are started, because they're started out of a need and a desperation for something different. And I believe this is really timely right now, what we're doing, what all of you guys are doing, because we do know that there's a pretty high probability that a recession could be coming. I mean, it's all over the news. So if that's the case, then we all need to start planning as though that's a possibility. So how do you plan for something like that? Is it just I save more money and hope I can make through it? Or is it, do I start thinking about other ways I can earn income just in case the income I'm earning right now decreases a little bit? And I believe that's what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking about like, okay, I want to earn more income. I don't know how. So there's lots of different ways to earn other income. One thing I want to say, and this is for any of you guys that do like side jobs, different things like that. There's so many like TaskRabbit, virtual assistants, things like this that you could do online with the talents that you guys have already. So if you're not in a position where you could just quit your job and you could live off your savings for the next 6 months or a year while you build up a business, which most people aren't. We're in the same boat. We can't just quit our day jobs to start, doing videos and going around talking and investing in houses. It takes time to build that up. But what for me, it was like, okay, I'll do some side work here, build some things here, make some money. And it worked. For some of you, it might be, okay, at nights, I could find a side thing that I could do online. If it's getting on TaskRabbit or Virtual Assistant or Upwork or one of these websites, and just build a quick little resume for yourself of if you're good with book editing, put that up there. If you know how to speak another language and you'll translate for books or for people, put that up there. There's all these different things. If you're good at teaching, a certain specific thing, put it up there that you want to do mentoring or something like that. There's people willing to pay for all kinds of things that they're not good at or they don't have time to do. So I want you to think about those things as we go into the next 6 months to a year that we're going into, because this is going to help us get to a position where it doesn't affect us as bad as it might some other people.
And do not limit yourself. Sometimes we might say, well, no one is going to pay me to do this. Well, or maybe you might think, well, I don't think, anyone would actually hire me to do X job. I want to give you, I want to share a little bit about something that happened to me a couple of years ago, maybe like 7. I wrote a proposal, and the proposal had to do with if this company would give me the opportunity to work as a director of finance remotely. Okay. Now, had I seen that before? No. Where the idea came from, I really have no idea, but I know I wrote the proposal and I submitted the proposal. Actually, it was right before I moved to Indiana. Okay. I was working in Massachusetts and I submitted a proposal in Massachusetts to see if I could work remotely from Indiana. Well, the answer was no. And the answer was a no. And they said that no, not ever could a director of finance work remotely. Now, this is back maybe 2017, I think. Now, guess what happened in 2020? When you look out there, there's even CFOs, chief financial officer, directors of finance, accountants, actually practically almost all of that entire section of the business world, they have the opportunity now to work from home. In 2017, it was absurd. It's like, what? No, a director of finance has to be here. 3 years later, everything changed. And now you have CFOs working remotely from other nations even. So I'm saying that to say that if you have an idea, maybe someone else already thought about it. That's the first thing, because I've come to chat, I'm like, oh my goodness, this sounds like an amazing idea. And then we look it up. Well, it already exists, which is good because, it was a good idea. Someone else is doing it, right? But don't allow yourself to have a roof. Hear what I said. I didn't say for other people to put a roof, but don't allow yourself to put a roof. I always heard here in the States, they use this say that, what is it about the roof? Remind me, help me here. When like they say, hey, we have like a roof, like a ceiling, right?
Like a glass ceiling.
Yeah. But imagine if there's no roof, if there's no limitation, what could you be doing within the economy, like Chad is saying? Because that idea might be the one that helps you in the future, but we believe that it will also benefit not just you, but your community, your country, wherever we're at. It's gonna be beneficial to others as well. So do not limit yourself. Don't put a roof on yourself. Go out there, be bold.
Yes, because in the economy, when things are turning down, our tendency is like, okay, opportunity's all over. I missed a chance. This is what most people think is like, it's not a good time to start a business. It's not a good time to invest. I shouldn't buy a house now. Interest rates are too high. There's a million reasons. And there'll be a million reasons next year when the economy's good. Oh, the economy's banging right now. The prices are too high. I need to wait till it slows down a little bit. Prices drop. There's always going to be an excuse, but think about things that you could do that there are going to be a need, like needs that are going to come up. And, just start, asking yourself what needs can be filled, what need to be filled, what can I do? How can I add value to other people? And that will produce income for you. Now, and this is another thing, like we're talking about, when things go south, there's opportunities. So think about this. For some of you that maybe own a home, maybe you don't own a home right now. Maybe you want to buy your first home, or you want to trade into something else. But think about it this way. We've talked about real estate, and we're going to get more into that. But this, one of the things right now, a lot of us have either mortgage or we have a rent, and that's our biggest expense in our life. That is our largest expense. 30, 40, sometimes 50% of our income goes to housing.
Yes.
Which is a lot. And it locks us to that place we're working because we can't afford to not be able to make that mortgage or rent payment.
Yeah, sometimes we don't even like where we live. So it makes it even worse because you're not happy where you're working, and then you get home and you don't like your neighborhood, but you feel so with like chains. You don't have the freedom to actually even go and find the neighborhood that you would like to live, the city that you would like to live, because of what you're sharing, Chan. Like we're in a position where we don't have that flexibility because 50% of my income right now is going towards paying my rent, my water, my electricity. So what do we need to do? What are the things we could do to get, out of that situation?
Yeah, that's just to start thinking, what can you do to get out of that? And there's a couple ways. Obviously, if you have a property, you could sell your house, take the cash, and you could buy a smaller place. You could go rent something for a lot less money and put more money in a savings account every month.
Actually, you remind me, you actually did that. When Chad and I were dating, he had a house and we had a conversation, right? We were just dating, and it's like, well, he decided to find a smaller place for him, rent his place, and then start saving money. Actually, what he did was that he used those additional funds to pay for your debt, right?
Yeah, so I had a pretty large house, and I went through a divorce, and I couldn't afford to really stay in the house. I probably could, but it was like literally all my money was going to paying the bills. It didn't make sense. It was a big house. It was just me. So I decided that I would rent this house out. And I'd lived there for 15 years. So this was not an easy thing to do.
No.
I would decided that I was going to rent my house out and go renting a small 2-bedroom apartment, for a lot less money. And it was a sacrifice. And at first, it was kind of exciting, but then
You didn't really want to do it.
but at first it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have neighbors next to me. It was because I had a big lot. But at that time I had like $22,000 in debt from credit cards and stuff like that. Within like a year's time, year and a half time of going from renting my property to moving into an apartment, I was able to pay off that entire amount of debt. I would have never been able to do that staying at that property at all. Matter of fact, I would have had to pay for more maintenance, and it would have eaten me alive. So that's where getting into thinking about how can I get my housing cost down? Like, what can I do to lower it?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not possible to do it right today or tomorrow. You have to start thinking about it. But if you have a property or you're renting somewhere and you're looking to buy something, think about maybe I'll go buy a duplex instead of
Mhm.
just a single family and just live there for 1 or 2 years, and that duplex would actually pay the mortgage for you,
Or
or
partially, maybe.
partially,
Mhm.
but it would pay a good portion of, at
Yeah.
least 60% of the mortgage would be
Yes.
paid by that. So that would reduce your income, or that you're having to pay. I'm not your income, but it would reduce your expenses for the housing,
Yes.
and it'd free you up to have more money to be to travel, to invest in your business, to think about other things. And then eventually that one property will turn into another property because you'll save up enough money and you'll see that this one's producing money. Maybe I'll rent out the place I'm in right now, so I have 2 properties, 2 units, and then maybe I'll go buy another duplex and do the same thing again. Now you have 2 properties that are producing income for it. So literally you have 2 jobs that are working for you that you don't have to go to work for.
Now, Chad, realistically, that's not something that everyone loves
Right.
doing, right?
Exactly.
It's like, because we all tend to, and this is like the American dream, right? The American dream taught us to buy the house, stay in the house for 30 years, right? And live happily ever after. Have a job, buy your cars. Well, cars, you're gonna have to change them maybe every 10 years, every 15 years, at least here in United States, right? So, but that's what they told us. But realistically, the people that move ahead on life are those that interrupt that same thought of, like, that thinking. Those are the people that move forward, not the people that buy the house and they stay in the house for 30 years. The ones that move forward are those that are okay with disrupting that norm,
Yeah.
and being okay to making decisions that are not the easiest one, right? It might be getting the duplex. It might be at some point getting a roommate if you live by yourself, renting, if you have an apartment of 2 bedrooms, renting one apartment, 1 bedroom, and then you living on the other bedroom. But then it will allow you to save. It could be downsizing, right? And start saving, like Sha was sharing before. So there's so many alternatives with housing. It's like even learning, do I have to change the light bulbs and save money? Sometimes we might think, well, that's just a couple of bucks. Well, you know what? When you don't have a lot of money, every dollar counts, right? So sometimes it's like, okay, let me change my light bulbs. That would be like a little bit of money at the beginning, but then 12 months down the road, I'm saving a lot of money on electricity. It might be the water, it's looking at my rent, but you do have the opportunity at some point to purchase your own property. And we want everyone that is connected to us to know that, ideally, everyone should have their own property. Even if it's just for your family, or a duplex that would allow other people to live. I mean, I find that it's like a blessing when we have a house and other people can rent. You know why? Because that person is right now where I was at some moment. At some moment, I was the one looking for an apartment because I didn't have the money to buy one. I was just barely making it, I was just barely paying, for childcare, the water, the electricity. I couldn't save money at that time. But now I'm in a different position. We are in a different position. So because we've been able to do it and we've seen it on other people, we know you have the capacity to also do this, not just for yourself, but for the people around you, for your community. For me, it's a delight sometimes just to know, wow, it's an extension of our home. When we rent the property, it's another one of our houses. We take care of that property the same way. We want to get that property like if we were going to be living there, and it is an extension of our home.
So one thing to think about, and I don't want you to feel like, okay, yeah, I would love to have a property right now, but I don't have down payment. My credit's not that great. I can't do it. So that's out of the reach for me, which is really not true at all, because there's so many different ways to get into doing this. And I'm going to give you just one quick example, how you could like start renting out a property that you don't even own, like tomorrow, basically, if you find the right property. So there's a thing, so you guys know that we do like Airbnbs, and it's been pretty successful for us, and and they do really well, and they do well for a lot of people around the country and around the world. But you have to have a property to do that, either your own house, or you have a vacation house, or you have rental properties. But there is an option for, and a lot of people do this and they're very successful with this. So if you have very little money, but you really have the desire that I would like to have a place like an Airbnb to rent out one day, because I hear this from a lot of people we talk to. Everybody's like, oh, one day I want to have some Airbnbs, because it's a way to make money, and it's a I call it like it's a happy housing. Like when you're doing it, it's kind of fun, you're making these things beautiful and nice, and
as long as you're making them beautiful, nice.
yeah, but you know what I mean. And you got people coming on vacation, so it's not like an angry tenant kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's this thing called rental arbitrage, Airbnb arbitrage, and some of you guys might have heard of this.
Short term.
It's a short term or a traveling nurse midterm rental.
Yeah. VRBO.
So on VRBO, different platforms. So what you could do is you could find a property in around the area you live, or somewhere that you think's a pretty popular property area for Airbnbs, and we could share resources with you, like how to kind of figure out if it'll be a good area for an Airbnb or if it'll work. And then you could find a landlord in that area.
Yes.
And go to the landlord and say, hey, I would like to rent your property for 12 months. I mean, this might seem scary at first, like you're going to go lease somebody else's rental, and then you're going to tell them, and I'm going to take care of your property. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it look nicer than what it does now. I'm going to rent it out as an Airbnb. And I'm gonna really take care of it. And I'm gonna guarantee you're gonna get your money every month, as it comes. I'm gonna pay utilities. You're not gonna have to worry about any of this kind of stuff. Some landlords, this is gonna be a dream for them, because you're gonna go in there and you're gonna give them a contract, you're gonna pay them the rent, their property is gonna be taken care of. And
it's going to be clean.
It's going to be clean. Yeah, that's another thing. Yes, it's going to be cleaned every couple of days. I'll be in the property checking on it. And this will give you the opportunity so you could start producing income instantly. Okay. Like by the time you have to buy some furniture, and that will be a little bit investment up front, but you could thrift and you could find things, for furniture. You don't have to get fancy with it.
No, just be nice, right? Yeah. At the same time.
Yes.
Because on an Airbnb, they're going to rate you. Airbnb, the guest rates the host and rates the facilities. So you don't want to be having a mattress with a hole. Actually, mattress is where people focus on. We always recommend getting at least the mattress should be new and good one, but you can thrift like Chad was saying. You can buy nice decoration, and who doesn't like to decor or to get some? Well, maybe some people don't like to decor, but to buy to make a place look really nice, right? And let me tell you, I've actually used it as an opportunity because, like I said before, I like it to think about that they're an extension of our home. So even like the signage, the pictures, the paintings
Mhm.
that we have in the homes that we have as an Airbnb, they also are influenced by who we are.
Mhm.
Like the decor, the words are very positive words. There are like the words that we have in our word in our home. Even the books are books that we've read before and we think that they're really good for them to read as well. So it, renting as an arbitrage, or what's the word?
Yeah, like Airbnb arbitrage.
Yeah, like the short-term arbitrage, yes. It's an opportunity. I have a cousin, he did it in the state of Florida. It's been very beneficial for him. I do know that some people might think, well, what happens at the end if now they know that I'm making a lot of money, meaning the owner knows that I'm making a lot of money, and then they don't want to renew my lease. Well,
Go get another one. You pack
if
your
it
furniture and
happens,
go get a different one.
again, it goes back to being focused, right?
Yeah.
Just give yourself a what is it, a pat on your back, saying, I did this so good, and now the owner wants to keep it doing. And then hopefully that won't happen, right? And maybe we could brainstorm an ideas. What could we do for that not to happen? Because you've added value to that property. You've actually, now you have like a focal point. People will know that property because of you. But you know what? If you did it once, you can do it again.
Yeah.
You can find another property. By your second property, you're gonna be an expert on doing this and knowing how to support people and help them. So I'm sure, you'll be able to be great.
Yeah, and being a landlord, if somebody would come to us and we just didn't have any desire to do short term. Most landlords don't want to do this because it's a business. It's not a passive, I'll get my rent check once a month and then maybe every couple months I have to go fix something. It's an everyday business. So most landlords don't want to do it. But the opportunity for you is if you find a landlord and they're kind of hesitant, maybe you say, hey, I'll give you an extra $100 a month above what you're asking for rent. And if you pay your rent on time that year and their place is taken care of, hardly any landlord's going to tell you, you know what, I don't like this, get out of here. No, they're going to love it because they're cash flowing better than what they expected. You're bringing value to their property. And if they have another property, they might ask you, hey, do you want to do another one? I mean, listen, I told you guys I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listened to this one podcast. This one lady in her early 20s was doing this, and she was making like $80,000 a month. Like it's insane. And she just scaled really fast, but it was the same kind of principle. She was focused. She had a decent job to kind of get her started, but she was really hyper focused on this. She didn't have no children or anything, so that's different for all of us. But it's
Save a
possible.
lot of money. What was it that you said she actually
She started out actually, yeah.
paid
She,
to
here,
pay for a room?
yeah, real quickly. She started out, she was a orphan in Africa. So she lived on a dirt floor most of her life growing up, and her whole dream was to come to the States.
Mhm.
So she made her way here. She got a scholarship through studying in school. Her first place that she stayed in, she rented from some girls. Somebody had a house. There's like 5 girls living in the house. And then she just duplicated same thing and just kept doing it over and over. So it's possible for any of us. Any of us could do this.
We actually will send the link to that podcast.
Yeah.
About that, Shan.
Yep.
Because it's super, like, her story, it is super impactful. Like how she came from Africa to United States, graduated here, and then after graduation, that happened in 2020.
In 2020.
And in 3 years later, she's making $80,000 per month.
During the pandemic, she started this when everything was this would go back to what we were talking earlier. When everything looks like it's into the world, there's opportunity. It's just we have to be open, and remember, we're entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and don't compare yourself to other people.
No.
Oh, they're there, why we're not, right? Don't worry, everyone, it's at your own pace. And again, it's going back to the why. Why are you doing it? Okay? It's more than just doing something because I want to make the money. It should be something that will make you feel joyful, grateful, that would even give you for yourself, for your family, and for at least for your community, to help people that are in need, to support different avenues, different things that are in your heart, you know. Now, we do want to celebrate Marie Lucy, because yes, Marie Lucy, you know, Marie Lucy is getting it, she's in her process of buying an apartment for her, a home.
Yes.
So that's a big, huge raise. So let's give it up for
Yeah.
Maddie, Lucy, because we know how intensive it is when we're
Yeah.
purchasing. It's a battle because you are acquiring, you're expanding, and our nature and our culture doesn't allow us, everyone, to grow, right? It's easier when you have a lot of money or a lot of moolah, it's gonna be easy. It's when you're starting. It's for those of us that are, you know, just here and there, just beginning, that at the beginning it won't be so easy, but you will get there. So Marie Lucy, we're so excited for you.
Yes.
Want to celebrate? Hopefully we'll come over.
The struggle is real.
Yes, Marie
It's
Lucy,
true. It's not
real.
easy.
I mean, here for a minute, we actually reached out to a bank, and this bank we've been putting our different properties with the bank, because we were thinking, well, then at some point they will want to help us go farther, right? So guess what? We reached out to them, and they're like, nope, we can't do that. And Shannon and I are like looking at each other like, this is a small bank, you know, a regional bank, and we're thinking that we're putting the you know, our properties in one place just because then they will help us.
Yeah.
No, they just said no. But we had to make a decision, just like you're making, Marie Lucy. And that is, you know what? I'm gonna rebound. I'm gonna come back. Like in our case, we're already reaching out to other. That's not your case, Marie Lucy. I know that, you know, that's not your case. But it is a struggle, you know, and those struggle could be different for each one. I'm so excited, Chrissy. Thank you so much. You were sharing that. This is so encouraging. This is so awesome. Is there any question? Any one of you has any question? Stephanie, I see that you were writing, like speaking to us, and then Mari was saying yes to all of us. Anyone would like to ask a question? Okay, I see Chrissy. I've been getting the unction to start a YouTube channel of a blog to share my literature and words of encouragement from the Lord. And I finished one book. Come on. I'm thinking to start the next, but I'm not tech savvy. You know what? Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes. The blog, the YouTube channel, of course. And you know that with YouTube channel, that's something that people anywhere around the world could connect with your YouTube channel. And for example, with the book, and I know that you're from Jamaica, so we could look at this further, but even Amazon right now allows you to publish your book through them. And then when the person buys Trinidad, thank you, Chrissy. Yes, go Trinidad with the flag and everything. I love it. You know, Amazon, what they do is that if I purchase your book, that's when they produce the book and they ship it directly to me. So then you don't have to keep like a whole bunch of books sitting at your house. You don't have to do like an investment at the beginning. And about being tech savvy, I'm quite sure that you know a lot of things, but you know, we would love to even talk talk more about this with you,
Yeah.
because I feel like there's more people on this call and that will listen to this. Actually, we can even talk about this next time,
Yeah.
to talk about being tech savvy, being writing a book, and ways to use that. You're saying to share my literature and words of encouragement. I'm quite sure that Marie Lucy will be saying right now, start a Facebook. I can hear her saying that. Social media.
Yeah.
Is that true, Marie? Would you give me a, yep, she's smiling already. I
It's like,
can
yeah,
I'm
see.
yeah.
sorry. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm jumping here. Oh my God, Chrissy, I didn't know this. Of course, you will get all the help that you would ever wish for, not only in the Facebook, but with the tech things. We can learn it. There are so many tutorials and so many blogs that you can start looking at, especially for the book. And then when you have your book published either in Amazon or whatever, you can start thinking about promoting it. But I think you need to publish it first, as Diana was mentioned, uh, either printed. I don't know why you couldn't do that. We can find ways to fund it. Okay, I will not sleep tonight thinking about this, Chrissy. Thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
and with Amazon, we have a friend that he published his book on Amazon. And again, he just published the book, and I was one of the first people to buy it. He didn't have any money. I just purchased the book, and then they paid him part of that money. So then he didn't have to have 100 books at home, you know.
Mhm.
Even on this call, we have people that are amazing on drawing like the front page of your book, if it's a drawing, or even getting an images for the front of your
Yeah,
book. So this is so exciting. Oh my
absolutely.
goodness.
Definitely reach out to us, Chrissy, and that we could like start working with you to help you get the right people with Mary Lucy and other resources. Because we're kind of doing some of the same things you're already doing. So we've learned a lot of stuff over the last few months, and we're happy to share it with you. So you could do this is awesome.
Yeah. Gonna see if we can get this friend of ours so he can share how he did it too.
Yeah, we have a friend. Yeah, he's got a book that's been pretty successful. He's been
Super. He has a really good book. Actually, he's a friend of Winona and our friends, and our friend too.
yes.
Winona, you know who we're talking about. He's
Yes, I know who
amazing.
you're talking. I
Yeah,
do know who you're talking about. I think he would be honored to be looped in to this
yeah.
part of the process.
I'm gonna reach out to him because he did a book. It's such a good book. And then how he did it. It's awesome. Anyone else want to jump in and ask a question before we end it up for tonight? If not, then we will, anything else you would like to add?
Ah, this has been all. I'm just excited about
Yeah.
Chrissy, what
Okay.
she's sharing. That's what I'm saying. This right here, that's you being an entrepreneur already. That's what you are. You've created something already, and many of us have already created stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, many of us have like consulting businesses that you created already. So you're already a business owner. And sometimes it doesn't feel like we own a business because we don't have 20 employees underneath us and we go to a 9 to 5 place, but you are.
Mhm.
So I want to, just say I am inspired by all of you guys that you're taking the time to be here. I mean, this is like sometimes for us, just that people show up and that they're excited to grow themselves, that gives us the energy for us to be better. And so all of you guys, inspire us. And that's really why we're doing this. And when I hear things like, oh, I'm writing a book or I'm starting my business or blog, that's just like, oh my gosh, this is what we're doing this for. So keep thinking, keep growing, mindset. Don't worry about the money. The money will follow. The money's the easy part.
Mhm.
It's the mindset's the hard part.
Mhm. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and we will see you the last Tuesday of June.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.